Emotion does not signify weakness. To be able to control one's emotions is true emotional intelligence. The number one thing that hurts a lot of leaders is that they don't listen. Make them feel heard. Yo, what is up? We are back with another podcast episode, baby. Episode number 3. And today we are going to come with a topic that is very important to understand as being a leader. All right, so being a leader is very important. And in last week's episode, we went over the 3 most important things that a leader must possess. We said communication, empathy, and adaptability. All right, these 3 things overall are very important to possess as a leader. And again, there are a plethora of things, as I stated in last video, is that there are a plethora of things that you must possess as a leader. But this thing is extremely important. And I really want to emphasize on it today. And it is empathy. The reason why I want to speak more on empathy is because a lot of people in everyday life, they think that having empathy is weak, and emotion does not signify weakness. It signifies strength. A lot of y'all probably like, man, Cortez, you sound lame. Y'all probably already clicking off this video, but it is important to have. All right. So what is empathy? Empathy is being able to show some kind of emotional intelligence to your team, to yourself, to whoever you're over. It's just really important to build that rapport and connection with the people that you're appointed over, or even just yourself. For instance, if you fail at something, are you going to like bash your head into the wall? Are you going to like just sit here and speak death into your life and be like, man, and when I say death, I don't actually mean like I'm going to kill myself. Like, no. What I mean by that is like, by death, it's like, oh man, I suck, I'm trash, I'm this, I'm that, and that. And a lot of y'all might be like, well, that's just me being honest with yourself. That's cool. Be honest with yourself, but then also bring yourself up too, because think of yourself as like a whole bunch of like a crowd of people. If you tell a crowd of people, man, y'all suck, y'all trash, I hate y'all, like I don't need y'all, blah blah blah, it's gonna suck. Like I'm gonna look at, I know me, I'm gonna look at you like who you talking to, and I'm gonna throw it up in the face. But you can't demoralize yourself like that. Like, yes, speak the truth, but you have to still have empathy. And I guess being real with yourself, and not even being real, I guess having empathy for yourself and having empathy for others is to me honestly the same. Because I know we have the David Goggins and stuff like that in the world. They're coming out and they're just saying like, man, tell yourself that you're crap. And that's not necessarily the point that he's trying to get across. And if you listen to a lot of his videos, he even says that. I'm pretty sure David Goggins tells us that that's just a way that helped him, and he doesn't necessarily encourage that. But if it helps you, then by all means do it. David Goggins preaches self-improvement in however form that it may help you out, not in however form that it may help the entire population of the world. I don't know how may it help you out. So if you talking down to yourself is going to motivate you, then do it. And that's basically what David Goggins says. So I want to also take that, because I feel like that has like, I feel like the message that David Goggins is trying to get across may be getting miscommunicated. And that is something that we're going to also talk about communication in later episodes. And it's not that David Goggins is miscommunicating himself. I think the audience is miscommunicating it. I feel like David Goggins gets the message across perfectly fine, right? And there's a couple other of my peers that agree with that as well. But for some odd reason, other people just take it to the extremes, and that's not what you have to do. And there's always going to be that group of people that's going to hear something, be like, "Oh my gosh," they're going to take it to like top of Mount Everest. But you cannot do that. Like you gotta be smart about. You gotta just listen and actually interpret what someone is saying. But today we're going to focus more on empathy. Not communication is a whole nother episode. But empathy. How do you have empathy? Have emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is being able to have emotions, to be able to be aware of your emotions and control them, and then get it across effectively to who you're trying to get it across, whether it's you or whether it's team. To be able to control one's emotions is true emotional intelligence. Once you have controlled your emotion and your emotional state and your thoughts and your actions, you have obtained emotional intelligence. Also, to have emotional intelligence, to not only just understand your emotions alone, but understand other people's emotions around you. Like if you're hanging with Schmuckatelli or whatever, like you have to understand Schmuckatelli's, emotional state. You have to be aware of, okay, like dude just lost like his grandma or something like that. Like I can't go bashing him in and just going crazy. Again, like I stated in the last video, like there was a time where I actually was presented with a situation, or well, yeah, I had to let one of my appointed leaders know, like, hey, you can't go talk to this guy, like you talk to everybody else, because he doesn't take it well, and also he's going through something. To add to that, let's have emotional intelligence, right? Is think of being intelligent, but mastering intelligence. And I wouldn't even say, because do we really truly master things? But I would say having somewhat of a crispy understanding, like, and it's not like mastering, it's not perfect or anything like that, because no one's perfect, but having a really like good under and grasp and understanding of what the heck is this emotional thing and how am I intelligent in it. That's it. You achieve emotional intelligence, you're going to have empathy. Now, of course, that's the shortened version. This video would be done right now if it was that easy, but it's not. And a lot of y'all are on here are wondering, how do I obtain this thing? Like, what is it that I'm not understanding? And a lot of y'all probably already like a lot of y'all are just coming on here for understanding, and I'm here to give you that understanding. Let's give a really good example here. Michael Jordan, right? I almost said Michael B. Jordan. Michael Jordan, the GOAT at basketball. Nah, Michael Jordan is actually the second best, actually. LeBron has took that spot, but that's for a whole nother place. But let's say Michael Jordan, the number 2 greatest player in basketball history, he was actually motivating his team. And how did he do that? He would empower them through just being better. And it sounds like really like, is that the best you can do? Yeah, no, that's actually the best that he did it, and that's exactly how he did it, by being better, by bringing that competitive nature to practice, by bringing that sense of mentality to practice day in and day out. By even when there's not practices, he was there throwing up shots and going crazy. Right, the second best player in the world, Michael Jordan, that's what he did. And so that ended up rubbing off on people. Now, for those that were slugging, I'm pretty sure we all watched the Michael Jordan documentary. Like, if you haven't, like, you need to go watch it now. But and there, it even talks about how he may have been hard on them, but for some odd reason, it still was a fact of like they all like it was still after practice or whatnot. It was still like this is Michael Jordan. I'm still cool with this guy. Like this guy motivates me, but in a weird way. Like I don't feel threatened by his presence. Instead, I feel pushed by his presence. That makes any sense? So even the second best player in the world, Michael Jordan, has some type of emotional intelligence, right? And he was able to get his point across effectively through being able to know and identify his teammates' weak areas, and he was able to exploit them. In the documentary, I'm not sure if he directly quoted this, but what I got from that documentary is like he was able to say, okay, this teammate over here was weak at this, so I know what I'm gonna do over here. Boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna talk my trash, and then, but then not only was he just talking to trash, but then that would let the other player know, like, man, I need to work on this, right? And a lot of y'all probably like, well, Michael Jordan isn't really the best example for this, but I believe that he actually showed some type of emotional intelligence in that way. It may have seemed a little like extreme to some people may think, but to others it was necessary because that's the best way that he was able to push it. I mean, obviously it was successful. Man won 6 championships, 2 three-peats, and then came off of retirement and then won a championship. So obviously it was proven that what he was doing in practice was obviously translated to the court, because it's a team game. It's not just Michael Jordan throwing up 200 points a game and they're winning. No, it's a whole team effort. So when he was off the bench, they were able to still be successful. And why is because of that, the leadership and the intensity and the tenacity and the passion that Michael Jordan was able to bring onto the court, right? And so it is very important to know these factors and like how do you do it. Let's give another example. I looked at the analytics. Yeah, a lot of y'all in school. So let's just say, for instance, you're in school, you were tasked with a group project. You may have been like the group leader, or you may have had a group leader and they just suck at understanding everyone's availability, at understanding everyone's just ability to do things. And they thought that if I could do it, they could do it too. And if they can't do it, then they suck. And that's not having any sort of emotional intelligence. Instead, that's like the complete opposite. I don't even know what that's happening. That's like having emotional stupidity, right? Like you can't. And I'm not saying that the person is stupid, but I'm just saying that their emotional state is like isn't right for what a leader should possess, right? So a good leader would look like coming into the group project and saying, all right, y'all, so I want to understand this is the mission. This is my goal to get this group advanced. What do y'all think about the plan? Right? Open it up for discussion. What do y'all think about the plan? It's not hard to ask a question. What's the worst that can happen? If someone raises a hand and say, I don't like the plan, truly, what's the worst thing that can happen? Just ask what you go through everything that you need to. You state your plan and obviously give reason why that plan is right in your head. Obviously, like just don't go out there just shouting out just random orders you have no reason to back it. But let them know, communicate that to them, and then ask them, what do y'all think about this plan? That's showing emotional intelligence because now you're aware of your team and you're aware of their thoughts. It's so important to show your team and to truly like care about other people's thoughts when it comes to leading. Like you can't just shove something down their throat the whole time and then expect them just to take it and swallow it. Pause. Right? You can't like that. You can't do that. You see what I mean? So, like, really, just understanding your team, just understanding humans. We're all humans. We all experience some type of emotion, no matter how it may have a look. We all experience some type of emotion. You have to identify and say, man, like, you know what? I'm human. They're human. They go through emotions. So do I. How can I build that rapport with them? How can I build that trust, that foundation? How can I build that between me and this other person? Right? So ask them, like, hey, what do y'all think about this? They may agree with it. Best case scenario, they agree with it. All right, cool. We keep going. Worst case scenario, they don't agree with it. The whole group just ends up saying it's just trash plan, right? So what is the next thing you're going to do is just get upset? The next thing you're going to do is just be like, get butthurt and be like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. My plan is the best. No, because are you building emotional intelligence? No, you're just being ignorant, right? Don't be ignorant, all right? You're ignorant. Don't be ignorant, right? So understand that. Don't be ignorant, all right? Be open-minded and have emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the entire group saying that junk is just trash. They're just voicing out all their things and concerns to you, and you're just like taking it. Then you're going to take what they said. You're going to take your pride out. You're going to take your ego out, and you're going to say, okay, this is some things that I can do better than. So taking everything I just said, let's say, let's do this, that, and that. So let's do what you said. Let's do what you say. Let's do what you said. Maybe not what you said, but let's find a way that we can kind of morph that into something. Like, let's find a way that we can maybe perform that a little better. Make it so that everybody, for one, feels included, and then for two, feels like they're being heard. Let me tell you, as being a leader and being in multiple leadership environments and leadership positions, the number one thing, I got to get close to the camera for this one. Y'all got to look at my good face. The number one thing that hurts a lot of leaders is that they don't listen. How are you going to want somebody else to listen to you and you don't listen yourself? How does that make sense? It doesn't. I'm going to get close again. As a leader, listen. Make them feel heard because it is important. That is how you're going to accomplish the mission, and that is how you're going to get better. You have to listen to your team to get better at what the mission needs to be completed in. You don't listen, you fail. You fail your team. You fail your team, you fail yourself. So listen, all right? And so, like, really just doing that, like, I have to really put a lot of emphasis on that because people don't listen. Like, leaders have failed. I've seen leaders fail because they just simply did not know how to listen. Everything else was great. I mean, they perform amazing, perform better than me in a lot of things. But the one thing that hurt them is that they just don't listen to their team. They don't listen to their concerns. What good is it if you're not? What good is that? Just go do it by yourself at that point. So you gotta be able to listen to your team's concerns. You may not agree with your team's concerns, and maybe your team's concerns may be completely opposite of what you need to do for the mission. But you still need to listen to them and respect their time and respect what they have to offer and respect their thoughts and feelings. The same way that you expect them to respect your thoughts and feelings and time, you should reciprocate that, right? So reciprocate that thing. All right. Once you have achieved that, you have achieved the biggest hurdle that I have personally seen and noticed as leaders that fail to hit on. You have hit the first and biggest step. You listened. Great. You listened. What do you do next? Okay. All right. I heard your concerns. I listened to your concerns. Boom. This is what I should do. And before I even get to the next thing, like because I'm just popping my head. Some of y'all don't agree with the government, right? We go get political. We go get political, right? We're a community, we're family here, right? We go get political. A lot of y'all don't like the government. I serve the government. I love my government. I'm gonna say it right here now. Some of y'all don't like the government. And the reason why a lot of y'all don't like the government, I'll be on TikTok too, Instagram, all of them, YouTube, of course, we're on it right now. But a lot of y'all don't like the government because y'all think that they don't listen to y'all. Am I right or am I right? I hit something in that. I hit something in your head just now. I hit something. Did I not? I just connected with you on that one. A lot of y'all don't like the government because you feel like they don't listen to y'all. That's all I'm gonna say. So connect that. So you don't like what this group of people is doing. So you're gonna duplicate that? Do I feel like the government listens? Yeah, I feel like my government listens to me. Do some of y'all think so? Yeah, some of y'all think that they don't listen. So why would you duplicate the thing that you think that someone else is doing wrong? Why would you duplicate the same thing? Make it make sense, because it isn't. Listen to people's concerns and act on it. And if you just completely disagree, then you got to communicate that with them, right? You see how everything is like coming hand in hand. Do you see why I said the three most important things are communication, empathy, and adaptability? I haven't really touched too much on adaptability yet, but that's on purpose. But you see how empathy and communication are going like hand in hand, how I'm really like saying that, right? And so you have to like you got to be able, and then once you listen to them, you got to let them know, you got to communicate that to them. Hey, I don't like what y'all said. I really don't like that plan. Let's try to go for something different. Like I liked what y'all said, but I don't think it's right for this mission. I don't think it's right for the overall goal, the overall intent of what we need to do. All right. That's what you got to do. That's being a leader. Be mature is what I'm basically saying. You got to be mature as a leader. You're not mature as a leader. You're going to create immature followers because they're going to get frustrated, and some of them, and believe it or not, if people are following you, they're looking up to you. More than likely, if you have 5 people at that group, one of them is going to be looking up to you. And if they think that, and of course, if you're looking up to somebody, you're going to think that most of the things they do is right. And so that smudgatelli over here is going to be like, man, like I really love him or her. Like, what is, like, I really love this person. And then they're going to go replicate what you're doing, and they think that is right and really is wrong. So really self-reflect on yourself and make sure that you're holding yourself accountable and that you have that emotional intelligence state. All right. So now you have listened to their concerns. Now it's time to communicate that to them. Now it's time to let them know whether you like it or you don't. Right. If you like it, easy enough. You let them know you like it, and this is how we're going to change the plan. Now, here's the part that I really want to get on, because the easy part is them saying it, the easy part is them disagreeing with you and then you agreeing with them back. That's the easy part. You can keep going from there. The hard part is they disagree with you, so they voice their concerns to you, but then you disagree with them. Now it's time for you to act as a leader. This is what you gotta do. let me give you something. Let me give you a script. All right. Let me give you a script. And the subtitles has been down here this whole video, but this one's gonna be up in my face. All right. Let me give you a script. All right, let me give you one. Hey guys, so I understand that y'all said that y'all didn't agree with my original plan, but uh let's and I know y'all have voiced y'all concerns. I really appreciate you all's concerns and comments and things like that. And I hear you and I understand, but I don't think it is right for this particular mission per se. Right? Everything y'all had to say was pretty good, right? And I understand y'all way of thinking, but I just think for this mission, it may not be right, right? And if you are feel strongly otherwise, please make sure to communicate that with me, and I would be more than happy to listen to your concerns. But for the purpose of the mission, we're just going to go ahead with what I originally said. um and then so for next mission though, we're going to go discuss and plan this a little bit more heavily, so then that way we truly come to a good consensus. Now that might have been really long, right? I mean, you can edit that and you can play with that all you want, but that is like something I probably won't have that actually up here. That was really long. All right, but that is very important. You gotta say it in a way like that. You like something like that, something similar along those lines. If you're just starting, you just don't know where to start. Like I would start there, somewhere in that vicinity, right? What did I do? Let me break down exactly what I did. Number one, I came to them, and for one, I greeted them. Hey, how y'all doing? I understand, right? I connected with them on that. Said, hey, I understand that y'all were frustrated or you didn't agree with me on something, right? You hit that connecting piece, resonate with them, right? Build that rapport, right? Um, but and then here's the next thing, right? But I don't think it is right for this mission in particular. And tone is so important when it's coming to emotional intelligence too, because you can say something from the deepest depths of your amazing heart, but if your tone is off, if you're just like, yeah, like man, I really agree, like this stuck is no, like if you come at them like that, like they're gonna be looking at you like, what is this dude saying? Like, come on. Now, to me personally, I'm listening to the words. I'm not really listening to their tone too much. I mean, I still listen to tone, but the message matters more to me, right? And so, like to me personally, it wouldn't necessarily bother me just as long as they're saying the right things. But to other people, people are like they're listening more to the tone, or they're listening to like everything at the same exact time, right? I've only met people that listen to either or, right? And it's like either I'm listening to just your tone more heavily, or I'm either listening to the message that you're saying more heavily. And so if you get those group of people, and that's for you to identify who's my team. If you get a group of people that's main, you got to just learn how to say things to certain people. The safest way is just to have a really neutral, nice tone, right? Because if you came to me talking nice, I'm fine, right? Obviously, I don't want you coming to me like yelling up in my face. I'm gonna tell you, dude, get out. You go just turn me off at that point. Like, don't come yelling in my face for don't come doing that either, right? Especially if it's just like for no good reason, right? But uh but still at the same time, tone, what I'm trying to say is this: tone just matters, period. And you just have to watch your tone. And that's something I had to deal with, because a lot of people will say that my tone comes off a little bit as too demanding. I don't think so, right? And this is me actually having like a personal moment. Like, I don't think so. This is my personal thoughts and feelings. I don't think so. Honestly, if you ask me, I think that my tone is actually really good for beginning a message across, but it ain't about me. And that's something you have to understand as a leader, is like, and this is having emotional tells as well, is that it ain't about me. It ain't about my emotions. If I have a whole bunch of people coming up to me saying that there's something wrong with the way I'm saying things, who am I to tell them that if 100 people come tell me that, who am I to tell all 100 that they wrong? I have a whole 100 people telling me the same as that thing. Like, hey, Cortez, you need to work on your tone. Like, it sounds a little bit too demanding. You need to kind of ease up a little bit. You're going to turn a lot of people off. I don't like when you do that. Please don't do that. If I have 100 people telling me the same thing, like, oh, whoa, well, maybe there's something wrong. And that's just having leadership. That's just you having to drop your ego and say, like, this is me, but like, what good is that if I'm not helping these people out, right? And I'm passionate about leadership. I'm passionate about what I do. I'm very passionate about helping others. So if there's ever a point where I'm disappointing a large group of people, if I'm disappointing people rather than inspiring them and making them happy, that affects me personally, because it's like dang, like that isn't what I'm trying to do. And so you have to just look upon yourself as a leader and say, man, like, okay, maybe there's something I need to change. Maybe there's something that I need to mature. I wouldn't even say change, but mature. Maybe there's something I need to really review on and look at, right? Recording videos, talking to like family and friends, people that you're close to, and things like that, and really just trying to diagnose the problem to its core. Heck, even asking the people that say, hey, like, hey, your tone is off, blase, blase. Like, just listen to them, right? Listening to them and actually taking what they're saying, blocking, putting your ego to the side, and just receiving their word, right? And just receiving it, right? And then you take that later on the night. I'd be sitting in the bed at night in the dark, and I'd be thinking about what just happened in my day that's coming to an end. And that's what you got to do. However you think, however you reflect on your day, whenever you do it, however you may do it in the shower. I don't know, you may do it while you're on the toilet. However you do it, make sure that you are just taking in what they're saying. You holding that, keeping it in the back of your mind. Either you're thinking about right then and there, or you're just taking that, and then you're going to use that to reflect on it later on in the day. And it's so important. Like, just listen. I just listen. Have emotional, like, have some kind of emotion. Like, as a leader, you're not going to be straight up and down. Like, you it's and there's a lot of leaders who are just straightforward, like just straight cutthroat to the chase. Don't care about how you feel. Either you feel this way, you don't. Right. And and that's just really dependent on what they're teaching too. Because if you're teaching the mindset thing, if your whole thing, and again, like, and that's the beauty of leadership, because leadership styles to me change based on the situation that you are leading in, right? If you're trying to teach kids at a school how to just be good kids, like, are you going to sit there and yell at them and say, like, yeah, whatever you, I don't care what you think, you're going to listen to what I'm saying? No, that probably isn't, that's really unhealthy, right? But if you're teaching a whole bunch of like middle-aged adults that feel that they haven't utilized their life to the fullest potential, and your goal, they're paying you or they're coming to you for guidance and to get their mind on track, no matter what it takes, then in that situation, you need to turn on a certain side, other side of that leadership style, and be, that's when you can implement that. Yeah, well, what I say is how we're going to do it. And it's still, even in there, you still have to have some kind of empathy at the same time, because you don't want to drive people away at the same time. But you're going to be a little bit more harder on the outside. Like, your shell is going to be just a little bit harder as a leader, because like that is what they're coming to you for, right? You still have to hold that empathy. Like, don't drive them away. Don't be crazy. But like, still, so really your leadership style kind of changes, and your leadership style matures and fits into certain genres and areas of life, right? But as just a baseline, as a baseline of leadership, you should have some type of emotional intelligence. People go come across you, and people go say and try to be smart mouth with you, and people will try to come to you, and they go swear up and down that you just suck and that they can do better, and they're going to voice their opinions like no other. You're going to encounter those people. I have encountered tons. I still, to this day, right, that they just want to get real snarky on you, and it tests you to your core, right? Because it frustrates the living heck out of you. But you have to be able to have you got to be able to you got to be able to out emotion somebody the same way you got to outthink, but you got to out emotion somebody. You can't let somebody else's emotions dictate your emotions. Somebody else is angry at you, you can't get angry back. How you go put Can you put fire out with fire? No, right? Can you turn can you put water on water and expect it to turn into steam? No, you can't. But you know what you can do? You can put out a fire with water. You see what I'm saying? You can make steam with fire and water. And that fire represents the person that's upset, that's like coming at you full force speed. They ready to probably knock your head off. You have to come at them as water, and you have to be able to take control of your own emotions. You may be shaking, you may be upset, you may have like a million of things that you want to say and do in your mind and in your body. But having emotional intelligence is you being able to control that and really just get to the root of the problem, right? Rather than sit there and just go back and forth with somebody that you're just wasting time at that point. Stop wasting time. It frustrates me. Stop wasting time. Use that same exact time that you want to use to get all frustrated at the person that's already frustrated. Use that same time to use it as a learning lesson. So then y'all can learn. Both learn. It's important. So if someone's upset at you, you gotta step back and be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, hold on. Relax, please. What is the problem that you're having? Step back, ask that question, because the whole reason that they're coming at you that way is probably because they want to be heard. They want attention. Think about it. All people that you think of that got upset at you for whatever reason was because, for one, they felt like their point wasn't getting across to you well, or they just felt like they weren't being listened to. It's one of the two things. There's probably a million other things, but mainly dealing with leadership, dealing with people that is looking up to you and people that you're leading. Those are probably the two things. There's probably like the two key things that people are getting upset about. So you got to be able to step back and be like, whoa, 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 like, what is the problem? Like, what's going on? They may say it. They may say it in however way they want to say it to you. But as a leader, you have to learn how to take control of the situation, right? The moment you lose control of the situation, by, for example, getting upset back, you just crying and you just falling to your knees. The moment that you do any of that, you fail, right? You fail, just straight up. So how do you win and take control of the situation? You gotta be emotionally intelligent. You gotta have empathy. You got to be able to control your emotions appropriately, so then you are able to control the situation, right? So someone's mad. Whoa, relax. Hold on. What's going on here? Ask them what's going on, and then listen. You see why I said listen. You see why I got so close to the screen, because listening is so important. Like, people just, it's the most simplest mistake people make in leadership. Like, they just don't listen. I feel like if people listen, we wouldn't have a problem with leadership. And there's like a whole bunch of other things of like everything else. But come on, like, let's be real. If people actually listen to other people, like, there would be like we leadership wouldn't be so hard, I believe. So, and once they voice it, they're probably gonna let you know, because the whole point of them getting flustered is because they feel like they haven't been heard. They want to be heard. So you listen to them, you take what they're saying, you empathize to your core with them, like you connect, try to connect with them, try to truly understand where they're coming from. Even if you can't, just feel bad, right? Still feel like, dang, like, is this how I really made them feel? Or like, dang, I don't want this person feeling upset. How can I fix this? The next question you should be asking is the next thing, for one, is to apologize, right? Apologize to the person. I apologize for making you feel this way. I apologize for blah blah blah, whatever they say. That's why you gotta listen. You let them know that you listen by apologize. I apologize for that. I could have done differently, right? And I am upset at myself for not noticing this. Like, I'm upset for not noticing your frustration, right? How can I fix it? What can I do? Some people may be like, there's nothing you can do. Forget you, I'm out, right? At the end, if they do that, at the end of the day, you have done the best thing that you can do. All you can do now is learn from that, right? But if they start calming down and they start talking to you, or if they're still upset and they're starting to talk to you, good, you're getting communication going. You're getting something going, right? Something you're coming to the root of the problem, right? And more than likely, the person is going to calm down just a little bit after that, right? It's just like almost human nature. When someone heals an apology, almost like instinctively they calm down just a tad bit. Like, if think about it, have you ever been mad? And if you have, which you have, if someone apologized to you in the middle of you being upset, didn't you calm down just a little bit? And especially if they were genuine about it. Like, if they were actually, let's say they apologized to you and they were genuine about it, like, would you not calm down just a little bit? Like just instinctively, you would just calm down just a little bit. You may still be upset, but you calm down just a tad bit more. You're not as mad as you were coming into the situation, right? So that's the same way you got to think about it. Like really, a lot of this is like listening and just being relatable and having emotional intelligence. Like once you achieve those things, you are able to achieve the empathy part of leadership. I have given you a plethora of examples. I have given you a plethora of connecting tips and things like that that you can utilize, right? I encourage you in this next week, right? So from now until next Friday when the next episode drops, I encourage you this I'm giving you a call to action. I encourage you from now until next Friday when the next episode drop that you stay cognizant of your emotional intelligence. Don't find ways to get in trouble, like get in conflicts. But if you ever come into conflict, find a way to implement what I just told you. Find some way to implement it. And if you don't get any conflicts, good. Continue to listen to this podcast. Really let it resonate and soak in your mind, right? And actually like practice it one-on-one with yourself even. Because everything that I'm giving you that helps you with you and another person is going to help you with you and you. When you're looking in that mirror, mano y mano, you looking in that mirror, that these same principles are going to apply. They're just going to translate. Trust me on this. They're going to translate over. So if you're having a situation with yourself, you have to be able to understand, okay, why am I upset? It's the same process. Why am I upset? And really sit there. And your listening part, you listening to yourself is letting yourself think through everything that happened, replaying what happened. That's you listening to yourself. Let yourself think. Don't just try to block it off. No, let yourself think through it. Right? That's you listening to yourself. And then you just making like some kind of after action report and being like, man, I couldn't have done this better, or I like how I did this, but I couldn't have done this better. You see what I mean? Once you have achieved this thing called emotional intelligence, EI, you have achieved a huge step in a huge problem area that I personally see in leaders today. And as being young leaders of tomorrow, it is pivotal that you as an 18 to 24-year-old, and if you're 25 to 34-year-olds, it is so pivotal that you take note of these things, you listen to these kind of podcasts, and you apply these in your everyday life, right? A book that I'm currently listening to right now, I'm about 3 hours in it, it's called Atomic Habits. It's up on the screen. Atomic Habits. This book literally explains everything that kind of what I've been preaching almost. Like when you build habits, and it helps even better when you're building them now. You build a habit now, so then it translates over when you're older. It's easier to build a habit younger than to build a habit older. You know why? You ever heard that saying, old people be stuck in their old ways? I may have been on a person say that. But you ever heard that saying? Old people be stuck in their old ways, bro. Old people do be stuck in their old ways. I'll keep it. Amen, brother. Old people be stuck in their old ways like crazy. You can't change an old man mind for nothing. Unless they like entrepreneurs for real and they like actually like, or they philosophers or something. You can't change an old man mind. Like if you can, I would give you $1 million. I don't have $1 million. I will one day, but I would give you $1 million. Like quote me on that. And it's a reason for that because they have lived 70 plus years in a certain way. How you go to a 70-year-old and tell them the way you've been living for 70 years is wrong? What you gonna tell them? They gonna look at you like, young buck, get out my way. Right. And so it's going to be harder for them to get to recognize that because they've been living like that their entire life. So the thing is, you have to think, how do I want to look at 70 years old? And a lot of y'all like, man, I ain't trying to think that old, that I'm not trying to think that far into the future. You got to. As being a leader, as being an employer, as being an entrepreneur, as being a student, as being anything that you want to be in life, you got to ask yourself that question at least once a week. At least once a week. How do I want to look at 70 years old? And you're going to achieve that. All right. This InspoDreamz, man, again, InspoDreamz here to create a community of leaders and hardworking individuals who are highly motivated and want to take control of their future and rise above their standards, baby. All right. And so I really appreciate y'all for listening to this. I'm highly blessed, right? I'm so thankful for people that tune into this podcast weekly. Man, we will not stop. We will keep going. The numbers may be low now, but hear me out. These numbers will grow. I'm saying it right now with full faith. These numbers will grow. These numbers will be in the thousands, if not millions. Watch one day. All right. But we InspoDreamz, baby, and we got see y'all next week.